From Governor's Comedy Club in Levittown, this is Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com. TicketBash.com, where memories are made affordable and where you'll never pay a service fee. Sports Bash is also presented by Ryan Anthony's Heating and Air Conditioning Service, keeping Long Island warm for over 18 years, serving their customers in Nassau and Suffolk with pride, honesty, and integrity. For more information, visit www.liboilers.com. Sports Bash is brought to you by the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage. Every customer is considered family at the Embassy Diner. Mention Sports Bash and get a free dessert with your meal. By Coach's Collectibles, your number one source for 100% authentic sports memorabilia and live public autograph events. Check them out online at coachescollectiblesny.com. Stay tuned to find out about the Coach's Collectibles item of the day. And by the Marty Lyons Foundation, the official charity of Sports Bash Media. For more information, go to martylyonsfoundation.org. Hi again, everyone. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Hope you had a great weekend, Labor Day weekend into Monday. I'm Peter Schwartz. 516-465-3990 is the number to call. Make sure you're subscribing to Govs Comedy Club podcast channel on YouTube and follow along on Sports Bash Media on X, Instagram, and Facebook. Later on in the show, we've got our usual cast of things that we do. We've got the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day, the Coach's Collectibles item of the week, and then also we'll tell you about some great upcoming shows we have, including a bonus show this week that I am so excited for tomorrow. But I am equally as excited for the show today. We've talked about it for a couple of weeks, and you know this thing we like to do from time to time here on the program, where we have an FOP in studio, and a friend of Peter. So what I do is I invite a friend of mine who has been in the business, whether it's sports, news, entertainment, whatever, and that person serves as the honorary co-host for Sports Bash for the entire hour. Now, if you've been following along and keeping score at home, you know that prior FOPs, Amy McGorry, formerly of News 12, now at Newsday TV, Colin Cosell, who is the Mets public address announcer, he was in studio. Mark and John Cronin from John's Crazy Socks, they came in. We had a great hour with them. They are just unbelievable people. Andrea Grimes, formerly of Channel 2, she made her first TV appearance in a year, if you want to call this TV. She had been off Channel 2, and I was trying to get her to come on, and you know, for whatever reason, it didn't work out. She finally came in. Most watched episode of Sports Bash to this day in history when she was on that day, and it's not even close. Sean Winters from Winters Bros, big Jets fan. We had him in studio, and of course, another great one. We had Kevin Koveas, who Long Island resident, who was on American Idol years ago, big sports fan. We're going to get him in again at some point too. And today, I made an exception. And if you know the rule, especially my good friend, you know, Robert, who lives in Baltimore, keeps asking me on social media, when can I be an FOP? And I said, you do not ask to be an FOP. You have to be invited to be an FOP. Not even Tony can be an FOP. Tony Walker, who hosts the Knock 'em Dead comedy show from 11 to 12:30 every Monday through Friday here at Governor's, he cannot ask for someone to be an FOP. He does not have that power. This person broke the rule a few months ago. He sent me a message saying, I'd love to be an FOP. And I'm like, you have to be invited. So, but you know what? He's got so many great books, and we've had such a long-standing friendship that I made an exception to the rule. And I'm so glad to welcome in a good friend of mine, a noted author, many great Mets books, and also worked for a short time for the Islanders, Brett Topel. Brett, always good, my friend, to see you.
Peter, it's so great to be here. So I'm an involuntary FOP. I'm a forced, an FOP, a forced FOP.
You know what? Actually, your constant nagging really got you in the building here today.
Listen, we all have skills.
Yeah.
But I got in the building. They let me in the building.
Let
Tony hasn't kicked me out yet.
No. See,
he charged me a cover, but I don't.
I told you, we're coming up on a year of doing the show here at Governor's. We are just getting past the probationary portion where we're actually allowed to use the bathroom now.
Oh, that's good to know for later on.
Good to know for later on. So we actually have the key to the
bathroom. I didn't know what I was
going
to do.
Yeah, there's this whole rigmarole of rules.
I appreciate my FOP starting with bathroom.
Yes,
talk.
There you go. Well, it's great to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
And again, I've mentioned this before on the show, how many great books you've written about the Mets. And
Thank you.
It's been, we'll get to some of them in a little bit. It's been a crazy baseball season.
Ridiculous.
And you notice, and by the way, Brett, second guest in a row in studio that is outdressed me. I said to him, I'm going to wear a Yankee shirt, wear a Mets shirt, and he comes in all dressed up. Jim Wright last week came in a suit and tie, made me look terrible. And I told you to wear a Mets shirt.
You did. And by the way, let me just, as an aside, the fact that you're considering this all dressed up says a lot about you.
Well, it's a lot more dressed up than I normally get on the show.
I appreciate it. I was going to wear
There was one time I wore a shirt and tie because I was at an Islanders press conference when they introduced Matthew Darsh as the new GM, so I came here straight from the show, and everyone was like, "What are you all dressed up for?" Well, I was at the press conference, but it's
and you couldn't change because you didn't have the bathroom key yet.
Well, we didn't have that's right. We were still on probation. We couldn't get into the bathroom.
Understood.
But it's been a weird baseball season. I mean, as great as last year's season was for both teams, the Mets getting to the NLCS, the Yankees getting to the World Series, and there was a point this season where both teams were comfortably in first place, and then they both collectively went on this nosedive, and they've gotten back into it a little bit. They're both in playoff position. Is this the craziest local baseball season you've sseen in a long time?
Yeah, no, there's no question about it. I mean, the part that you're talking about they were both playing really well was right at the beginning of the season, right?
Yeah.
I mean, especially the Mets. The Mets got out of the gate really fast, which is something they normally don't do.
Right.
Even last year,
they had the scrape at the end of the year.
They had the scrape at the end. They always seem to have to get the scrape if they're not falling out of it. But this year is strange because the pitching carried them early.
Yeah.
The pitching doesn't exist now for the most part, starting pitching, except for the two
two
young
rookies.
ones, which we could start. But the fact that you're now talking about the two best pitchers on the Mets having a combined 4 starts in their career says a lot.
Got to see Nolan McLean in person. I went with my family to see the game last week when he pitched 8 innings against the Phillies. He was outstanding.
He's been fantastic, and then let's ride it as long as we can. And the one of the most telling things for this Mets season is in the month of August they scored more runs than any Mets team has ever done in the history of the franchise, and they went 11-17. So that's not right. They're pounding. Soto is finally hitting. He's going to end up being the back of his baseball card and more. Alonso started really fast, has kind of leveled off, but Lindor, up and down. But the starting pitching just can't go more than 5 innings. And no matter how good your bullpen is, and they've made some nice moves to fortify the bullpen, if your starting pitching goes 4 or 5 innings, you're not going to be in a lot of games.
It's not a recipe for success.
No.
Soto, again, and Soto is compared to other years that he's had, and he's had, I guess the amount of money on the contract led people to think, oh, he's going to hit 400, he's going to hit 50 home runs if you pay him that amount of money. And, he is what he is. He's a generational talent. We saw that here in New York with the Yankees last year, had an amazing season with the Yankees as well. But I also think more so than Soto, and I'm not taking anything away from him, this Met offense started to come back around when Vientos started hitting.
No question about it.
And you're starting to see him play the way that he was playing for most of last year.
And baseball is a game of streaks, right? It's hot streaks, it's cold streaks, and very rarely are you consistent from day one to the day 162. So, yeah, Vientos is hitting. It brings the confidence of the team. Unfortunately, he keeps getting hurt, but oh my God, Alvarez was cut after coming back from the minors.
This poor guy keeps getting hurt.
Yeah, I mean, he's at some point he might not be able to be a catcher just because he gets banged up a lot. Although he gets his injuries in all different ways.
Which is a shame because he came, when he was coming up in the Mets system, the knock on him was that he was not really a great defensive catcher, and he made a lot of strides.
He did,
and worked very, very hard. And on 2 things he worked on. He worked on catching, and he worked on speaking English. I mean, he made an unbelievable transformation to at one point going up to Steve Gelbs and practicing, and they wound up doing that first interview. Yep. I feel terrible for him because he came such a long way.
It's hard luck for him. It's definitely hard luck for him. I still think he's going to be the Mets catcher of the future. Obviously, they don't have another one. Louis Torrens has been great. And
great backup catcher.
And by the way, how the Mets have been throwing out runners this year like I've
former
never
Yankee
seen.
Great.
Former Yankee. But between cutting down base stealers and stealing bases themselves, I've never seen a Mets team steal as many bases.
Yeah.
And they've started the teams have started to catch up. They're picking them off a few times now, but these walking leads that turn into easy stolen bases have propelled them in the games that they've won, and they go up and down. Like you said, it's been a crazy roller coaster.
And what I know you're a Met guy, but what are your thoughts on the Yankees? They obviously slumped at the same time that the Mets did, and now the Yankees are 2.5 games behind the Blue Jays for first place.
Yeah.
I think both teams are going to be in the playoffs. I'm confident the Yankees are too. The Mets are firmly entrenched in that number 3 wild card spot. The Yankees are tied with the Red Sox for the number 1. Both teams will be in. Where do you see the Yankees at this point?
To your point, I think the Mets. I don't think the Reds will catch the Mets. I don't think the Reds have it in them to catch the Mets. The Mets will make the playoffs probably as that third wild card seed. I actually think now the Yankees are going to win the division. I don't think Toronto will be able to hang on. I think that they play each other at some point soon.
There's a series coming up at Yankee Stadium.
I don't think the Yankees are that good.
No, I agree with you. Not as good as last year.
But I think they're certainly. I mean, they could either lose in the first round of the playoffs or make it to the World Series, and I could see both of those things happening, depending on who they're playing.
Because the American League stinks.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, Detroit is... I saw Detroit play yesterday against the Mets. I mean, they gave up a ton of runs, and I know they certainly leveled off. Houston is your main competition until you beat them.
Yeah.
I mean, to answer your question, I think they'll win the division, and they will go as far in the playoffs as their pitching allows them to.
Yeah, and you talk about young pitchers. Cam Schlittler has done a nice job for the Yankees since he came up, and we'll see what happens. But that's obviously going to be their main thing is that they're going to have to pitch well and pitch deep, just like the Mets. The Yankees have had an arson squad for a bullpen all season long, and if the starters can go 6 or 7 and not 4 or 5, it gives you a much better chance.
Exactly, and what's interesting is, and I actually went to school with his uncle, but Anthony Volpe's been taking a beating.
Yeah.
I mean, taking a beating, and I think, he's been making a lot of errors. That's a confidence thing, that. It's like, but Yankee fan, he's become the whipping boy for the Yankee fans. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, listen, you want to win. And he's a homegrown Yankee, so you want to see him do well. It's
and a local guy.
And a local guy, and it's just like with any Met prospect that comes up that has a good start, but then falls back a little bit. I want Volpe to be the Yankee shortstop, but at some point, though, if you're Aaron Boone, you have to put the best lineup out there, the best defensive lineup at times. And listen, they're running out of time before the end of the regular season to get him straightened out. Yeah. Listen, you traded for Ahmad Rosario for a reason. So if
former Mets great,
the former Mets legend, yes, and we have Paul Blackburn too.
Oh, good luck with that. In spite of that, the Yankees will win the division.
Right. But I want to see Volpe do well.
Sure.
I mean, I'm tired of watching him make errors. I'm tired of watching him strike out. And look, and with all of his troubles, he's got 18, 19 home runs.
He hits home runs. And I think maybe the worst thing that happened for him is that he won the Gold Glove when he was a rookie, because I think the expectations were so high moving forward. But
a little Chuck Knobloch-like for him, because he's got like the yips throwing the ball. Remember when Knobloch came to the Yankees?
In my world, it was Mackie Sasser. But yes.
My wife loves Mackie Sasser.
Mackie Sasser.
Her favorite Met was always Gary Carter.
Okay.
And for some reason, she was always attached to the catchers. Like my favorite Yankee's Thurman Munson.
Okay.
But she was always attached to Gary Carter, and she loved Mackie Sasser also. As it turns out, both of our kids played catcher in Little League. Okay, so there's something about in the Schwartz household.
This is why I'm friend of Peter. My license plate in my car that's royal blue outside says C 12831. 12 John Stearns, 8 Gary Carter, 31 Mike Piazza.
Wow.
Catcher.
See, that's a good one.
So when I played poorly, I played catcher. I love catcher. And everybody talks about the Mets having always been a pitching-rich organization. They've been a catching-rich organization, too. Going right back to Jerry Grody. And John Stearns was no joke until he got hurt. And, of course, we lost him a couple years ago. But he was always my favorite player growing up.
So when my wife, Cheryl, was pregnant with our older son, Bradley, so we were starting to kick around names.
Star of Post University.
Post University, yes. Well, we can get to that later in the show.
We definitely should.
We don't want to make his head any bigger than it already is. Yeah,
1-0.
Absolutely. 51-14 over West Virginia
but
Wesleyan on Saturday.
But who's paying attention to that?
That's right. We could talk about it later in the show.
Yeah.
So we were kicking around names. Now, my father, who had passed away, we had to use the B. So, in the Jewish religion, you have to use the first initial.
You do what you have
but
to do.
just a test on my wife. We were having one of these brainstorming sessions, and I said, "What about Thurman?" She said, No.
Good Jewish name. Thurman.
Good Thurman, yeah. Munson.
Thurman Schwartz.
Then I knew we had to have the B.
By the way,
right?
let me just say that again. Thurman Schwartz.
Thurman Schwartz, or Munson Schwartz, right?
Munson Schwartz.
Right. I knew that was not going to work, but then I thought, excuse me, this one might work because it was a B. How about Bossie?
Okay.
And that didn't fly too. We wound up picking a pretty good name.
Yeah. So you just went with the B.
We just went with the B.
Thurman Munson was one of my favorite players. I remember specifically, I'm sure you do too, where I was when I found that he had passed away.
So we were living in...
I didn't know baseball players could die.
No.
At that age. It was, 79?
First of all,
1979.
there was a point in my life where I was baseball players will play for their entire life. So like you grow up with, like for me, growing up with that Yankee team and growing up with the Islanders dynasty, like I always thought Thurman Munson's going to play forever. Ron Guidry's going to pitch forever. And then I started getting into the Islanders. Mike Bossie's going to play forever. Billy Smith's going to be the Islanders goalie for life. Trotty, all those guys. But I remember we were living in Forest Hills. I grew up in Forest Hills till I was 12 years old. In 79, we moved to Long Island. And there was a playground across the street from our apartment building on Yellowstone Boulevard in Forest Hills. And I would go there after school, play with some friends and everything. At the time, my uncle Stevie, worked in Rego Park and lived in Douglaston. He would always, and he had to pass through Forest Hills to get to the Grand Central to go home. He would come up the block and always see me playing in the same spot. And he would always stop, roll down the window, "Hey, Peter, how's everything going?" That day, he drives by and he goes, "Did you hear about Thurman Munson?" And I'm like, "No." Because he just passed away. I'm like, I didn't believe him. I had to leave the park, go to his car, listen to the radio report that Thurman Munson had passed away.
Crazy.
It's terrible. I mean, like my two favorite athletes of all time are gone now, Thurman Munson and Mike Bossie. So that was a tough thing. But he should be in the Hall of Fame, Munson. I mean, I know I'm biased with it.
Yeah.
I want to see Munson in the Hall of Fame, and I want to see Keith Hernandez in the Hall of Fame too.
But you don't feel the same about Mattingly?
If I can only pick one Yankee, I'm going to pick. Yes, I do think Mattingly should be.
I think Mattingly and Hernandez, I've always thought are.
Wouldn't it be great?
Different type of players,
but wouldn't it be great if they both went in at the same time?
That would be great.
Because there was a point in time where we were so blessed in New York as baseball fans that we had arguably the two greatest defensive first basemen of all time played here in New York at the exact same time in Mattingly and Hernandez.
Absolutely, and. I don't think either of them are probably going to make it, but it would be great if they both. I've had the pleasure with my dad to go see both Mets players inducted, Seaver and Piazza. Oh my God, the day Piazza got inducted was hot.
Oh my!
And but luckily they let Piazza go first because Griffey was also inducted that day.
I will not go until Munson gets in. Even though with all the great Yankees that have gone in, and I could have gone when Jeter went, I could have gone when Rivera went in. I am holding out until Munson, and I've met his widow a few times, had her on my old podcast, and met her at some Thurman Munson Award dinners and everything like that. I'm like, I am not going. I've been to Cooperstown a number of times. I will not go to the induction ceremony until your husband gets in.
Oh, that was very fair. Yeah. I'm sure you think she'll remember that.
Oh, sure, absolutely. Okay. No, we stay in touch every now and then. And the same thing with football. Like I was never going to Canton for the induction until Joe Klecko got in.
Well, Klecko.
And we went 2 years ago. Our whole family, and Rivas wound up going in too. But I will not go to the induction ceremony until.
I will say this about the induction ceremony is both amazing and unnecessary at the same time. It's a whole lot of people, and it goes real quick. You can watch that on TV.
So we've got a lot more ground to cover. We didn't even get to any of your books yet.
Sounds like I'm going to be invited back.
And, well, no, you're here for the whole hour. We just have to take a break. It's 1:18. We have to take a break. So when we come back, we're going to have more with Brett Topel, noted Mets author and fan and super fan, really, I think. We're going to get into some more baseball. We'll get into some of his books, including my personal favorite. I'll tell you about that when we come back. And we're also going to get into his time with the Islanders. And he interviewed somebody during his run, very short run with the Islanders, had a very, very notable interview that he told me about. And we're going to talk about that when we come back with more Sports Bash right after this. Hi, I'm Peter Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention Sports Bash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage.
In 1982, the Marty Lyons Foundation began with a single heartfelt mission: to bring moments of joy and hope to critically ill children by granting wishes that make their dreams come true. Since that day, we have touched the lives of over 8,500 families, raising over $43 million to grant wishes that offer a beacon of light in their darkest times. These precious wishes cost an average of $6,700 each, and your support is crucial to our mission. Every donation, big or small, makes a difference. And with 76 cents of every dollar going directly to supporting our families, you can rest assured your support truly changes lives. The Marty Lyons Foundation operates 11 chapters in 14 states now, working tirelessly to reach as many children as we can. This dedication goes hand in hand with our commitment to transparency and accountability, earning us top ratings on Charity Navigator, Great Nonprofits, and Candid, which underscores our dedication to those we serve. The Marty Lyons Foundation grants wishes to children ages 3 to 17. And what really makes this foundation so special is our willingness to grant not only a first wish, but also consider a second wish to a child who continues to battle a life-threatening illness. We stand by these children, offering them hope and strength through the power of dreams, giving our children the courage to wish for more.
What's your purpose in life? Is your purpose in life to live in the big house and drive the nice car? No. Your purpose in this life is to make it a little bit better for those that follow and realize that we live for today to see a better tomorrow.
Visit MartyLyonsFoundation.org to learn more and get involved.
Welcome back to Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com and the Ryan Anthony Head Start Fund and Ryan Anthony's heating and air conditioning service. Peter Schwartz with you on this FOP Friend of Peter Tuesday. Brett Topel, noted author, has written a lot of books, mainly about the Mets, and also worked for the Islanders. We'll get into his time with the Islanders in just a minute. But you've written a bunch of books. You've brought in a couple of them. You actually gave Tony Walker a couple of them, which you always excites him when he gets free stuff.
If he asked me, I'll sign him for him. But he hasn't.
Oh,
he hasn't asked
whoa.
me. He hasn't asked me. I just wanted to tell you that.
Right. So kind of like
I'd love to be a friend of Tony.
You want to be a friend of Tony? Well, we don't have FOTs around here.
Well,
we
might.
But I'm sure Tony would love for you to autograph the books a little bit later. Let me
Sounds
start.
different, by the way, when I say sign it and you say autograph it. I don't. It's the same exact result.
It's the same thing.
I know, but sign.
But is there a
no, autograph is like for celebrities.
Is it grammatically
No,
different?
I just think of autograph for like celebrities, and I don't think of myself as a celebrity.
Yeah,
although I
wrote
am
a
a friend
book.
of Peter. I am a friend of Peter.
Well, that makes you a celebrity, but
Okay.
you're also a noted author. Like if you walk into B. Dalton or whatever,
Oh, they
a noted
swarm. I get
bookstore-
swarmed. I can't even walk into B. Dalton.
Right, but
anymore.
it's got to be an amazing feeling to walk into a bookstore, whether it's the local mom and pop bookstore or one of the big chains, and that's my book. They're on the shelf.
I
Do
never
you get
tired.
that feeling?
I never get tired of that feling, and so that's my initial feeling. As I smile, then I take all my copies and I move them to the front. But the most,
It took me a second for that to hit me.
these other Met books are good, but put them.
Yeah.
The one that actually blew me away more than anything was when the day I walked into Costco. and Costco just piles their books up high.
Yeah.
And it was my book, So You Think You're a New York Mets Fan. It was a series of books, and I was asked to write the Mets version, and there must have been 500 of my books there just piled up. And I thought that was
And you bought all of them?
I bought. My mom bought the first 300, and I bought that last 150. No, I just thought that was the coolest thing that I was at Costco. I was being sold with tires and raw shrimp.
And we've seen the picture of the book when Shea was home, and I neglected to remember to bring it in because you've read in a couple of others. This is my favorite book that you wrote.
Thank you.
And the reasoning why, for those who don't know what the story is, and you should, that if you're going to pick one of it, from my opinion, if you're going to pick one of his books to get, just from an overall New York sports standpoint, this is the book to get. I had so much fun reading this because I kind of lived it also growing up. So for those who don't know, in 1975, the Yankees, Mets, Jets, and Giants all called Shea Stadium home. And then you need to say, well, how did that happen? Well, Yankee Stadium was getting renovated between 1973 and 1976. And during that time, the Giants were waiting for Giant Stadium to get built, so they were moving around from place to place. They played at the Yale Bowl. Then they came to Shea, and then Giant Stadium opened in 76. So you had all four major outdoor teams were playing at Shea Stadium. And that just had to be a cool book to write. It was so cool to read it and to hear the backstory of how they were able to do that all in 1 year.
No, I appreciate that, Peter. Thank you. And, all of the books, because you live with them for so long when you're writing them, become like your children. But it's actually my favorite book also. Mm-hmm. I didn't have the opportunity to live it. I was 5 in 1975. But getting to live it through the research and the writing and the interviews I was able to do. I did some... I did the interviews I did for When Shea Was Home was by far the most interesting, because not only did they have the Mets, Yankees, Jets, and Giants, but they also, Shea Stadium had to take everything that would have been at Yankee Stadium.
Right.
So Grambling football always played a game at Yankee Stadium. Yeah. Legendary coach Eddie Robinson, who was the quarterback that year, Doug Williams. Mm-hmm. So I got the chance to talk to Doug Williams. The high school baseball championships were played at Shea Stadium. I found the guy who was the winning pitcher. He's a Supreme Court justice in New York City. I called. This is a funny story, very quick. I called him and I said, "Hey, can I speak to Rolando Acosta?" And he had a clerk, and he's like, "Oh, well, he's not in the office, but I'll take a message." I said, "Okay, just tell him I want to talk to him about the time he pitched at Shea Stadium." Clicked. 30 seconds later, my phone rang. He's like, "Hello? I'd love to talk about my time at Shea Stadium. I've never been asked that." And he ended up going to Columbia's and Columbia Sports Hall of Fame. So that was fun. So, yeah, the research and writing for that book was really fun, because I was able to, yes, tell the story about the teams, but also tell the stories about what was going on in the country. It was Watergate. It was pop culture. SNL first year. There was great music, and there was concerts. So I really felt that I was able to kind of spread my wings a little bit and go beyond the actual story. I mean, the Mets, Yankees, Jets, and Giants were all terrible. I mean,
they were not good.
I mean, it was
all at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, they each had like highlights. Seaver won the Cy Young. It was Catfish Hunter's first year with the Yankees.
Yeah.
Giants and Jets didn't have any highlights.
Nothing. There was nothing to write home about at all.
No.
You had to be a real diehard fan to really get into it. The interesting thing about that year with all four teams playing, you think about it, because I talk to my kids about this now, because we'll see old Jets highlights, and they're like, well, how did they play football at Shea Stadium? And the box seats were on wheels.
Yes.
So, like, we look at the cover of your book, and you see Shea set up for baseball. So if you look at the field level.
They rotated in.
It rotated to make it parallel. So the end zone, one end zone was in center field, and one end zone was behind home plate, and I guess that's how they did it for the Giants as well. But logistically, to have, it was tough for two teams. When it was just the Mets and Jets, and remember, there was a time where the Jets could not play any preseason home games, and they could not play at home the first month of the season. So the Jets were almost nomads, too, playing in their own stadium, because they couldn't play until they fixed it later on. They were able to play never a preseason game, but then they started playing September. How logistically, what was that like for the Mets who ran the stadium, but for the four teams logistically? How did that all work out?
Yeah, so it's interesting. One of the we were talking off air a little bit about Pete Flynn, and I have a funny story about Pete Flynn.
Well, I was going to bring that up too.
But before that, I mean, the it was not easy. So baseball obviously took precedence over football. Neither the Giants or the Jets that year could play at the beginning of the year because now you have two base. I mean, baseball was played at Shea Stadium pretty much every day. The grass was totally gone by early August, if not earlier.
Did the Yankees refresh my memory because I can't remember sometimes what I had for breakfast in the morning? Did the Yankees use the Mets clubhouse?
No. So the Yankees. It's a great question. The Yankees used the Jets clubhouse.
Because old Jets locker room when the Mets wound up having press conferences.
The old Jets locker room because there still needed to be a visiting clubhouse for the Yankees or the Mets.
Right.
So the Mets always kept their clubhouse. The Yankees took up ownership of the Jets clubhouse. Yankees took the Jets clubhouse, and there wasn't a lot of interaction. When I set out to write the book, I was looking for these great stories of Seaver hanging out with Joe Namath and in the bowels of Shea Stadium, and they did cross paths occasionally. The Mets and Yankees actually crossed paths more because one would take if it was an off day for both, one would take BP in the morning, one would take BP in the afternoon, and the Yankees actually did have their own groundskeepers, but Pete Flynn, who was the head groundskeeper at Shea Stadium from day one till the final day. Was overall in charge, and do you want me to tell that?
Well, I was going to say, I'll lead into it. So for those, if you're a diehard Mets fan, you know Pete Flynn. They're a long time. He's passed away now, right?
He
passed away.
Years ago.
Long-time Mets groundskeeper, legendary personality and individual.
Drove the Beatles to the stage.
Well, So Shea Stadium was really the first stadium in North America that had concerts. It was the Beatles in the 60s. So Pete Flynn drove the Beatles out onto the field at Shea Stadium, and fast forward to when Billy Joel closed Shea Stadium from a concert standpoint, last play at Shea, Paul McCartney, if you've watched the Last Play at Shea documentary, you know the story of how Paul McCartney had to fly from England to JFK. Billy Joel had to, buy some time. He extended the concert a little bit. They had to get Paul McCartney from JFK to Shea Stadium in time to do the last couple of songs. And who was it again so Paul McCartney comes in and Pete Flynn drives him out behind the stage.
Amazing.
And you had a chance to talk to him.
I did. So there was a couple of things I needed to get straight in my mind if I was going to write this book. I had an idea. I always wanted to write a book about Shea Stadium. I still miss Shea Stadium.
I do too.
I don't miss the amenities, but I miss the thought of being there.
I have a bathroom sign from Shea Stadium in my house.
Is it in your bathroom?
No. It's no. So when Shea
we have a lot of bathroom talk on this show.
I want you to get to the Pete Flynn story, but now I have this on my head. So when my wife and I bought our house, upstairs at the time Bradley was born, Jared was not. So upstairs in the house was Bradley's room, and it was my office upstairs. In between Bradley's room and my office, which my office is now Jared's bedroom, was the bathroom upstairs. And my wife would always call it the boys' bathroom upstairs. So if Bradley was in his room and I was in my office, it was the boys' room. So when Yankee Stadium and Shea Stadium were closing, I said, how cool would it be if for the door of the bathroom that I got bathroom signs from both stadiums. I wound up getting the Met one from Shea Stadium, and then it arrives in this big giant box. And if you remember the bathrooms at Shea Stadium, especially on the field, I think this one came from the field level. So if you walked into the bathroom, up on the top of the bathroom were these catty corner signs that were lit up, and they said men. It was the men's room sign. So I'm like, let's put that on the door. The package comes in the mail. It's this huge sign that doesn't fit on the door, but it fit on the wall next to the bathroom in between the two of them. I think I paid $50 for that sign. I think it was a pretty good deal. A little tiny men's room sign from Yankee Stadium, and maybe this was because Steiner Sports was selling it, was like $200. And I could have gone into Michael's or some store and gotten the same. There was nothing special about it, so I didn't buy it. Right. So in our house upstairs, in between the two boys' bedrooms, next to the bathroom is the Shea Stadium men's room sign.
Listen, you can't. My Pete Flynn story is never going to be better.
Well, no, but now that I
appreciate you telling that story.
I delayed it 20 minutes. Let's hear the Pete Flynn story because this is remarkable.
The Pete Flynn story is one of my favorite stories. So I was at a Met game with my dad.
By the way, Brett Topel, noted Mets author, and FOP is in studio today.
And I shout out to my parents who are watching in Palm Beach Gardens.
That doubles our audience.
No, they are definitely still. They may quadruple. I told them to put it on a couple different devices.
Okay, good.
They didn't know how to do
Because
that.
the more clicks, the better.
Exactly. This story involves my father, as many of my Met stories do. So we were at a game, and we got there early, as we tend to do, not to watch batting practice, but just to, Citi Field has a lot of good foods there.
I do like the food.
Yeah, the food at Citi Field is fantastic.
Do you ever go to the Taste of Citi Field the beginning of the season when they do the whole kickoff thing?
I made a mistake though. I got my friend Evan is watching this. I think I bought that fried hamburger, which I forgot, fried hot dog, which I forgot what it was called. If he still texts me, and I'm thinking it's a Bada Bing or something. You can't eat that like pregame because that catches up with you by the third inning.
Yeah. Then you have to go to the Citi Field bathroom and look at the bathroom sign there,
or your house in between your boys' bedrooms. Does it still light up by the way?
No. It was just the cover, the outside of it. Yeah.
So I was at a game with my dad, and it was pregame, and I said I was talking to him about this book idea that I was really starting to like, and I said, but I have to talk to Pete Flynn. Pete Flynn had retired after the Mets moved from Shea to Citi Field. So I said, you know what? I'm going to walk down to the current groundkeepers to see if I can get some contact information. I walked down. I ended up finding his name is escaping me, but the current head groundskeeper at Citi Field at that time. And he said, oh, Pete's here sometimes, but why don't you leave me your number and I'll pass it along. And I went and he got a piece of paper and I said, you want my number? He goes, oh, there. And I'm like, give my number to somebody there? And he goes, no, there. And I turned around and Pete Flynn was standing right there in the little breezeway that takes them to the field. I walked right up to him. I said, Mr. Flynn, can I talk to you for a minute? I'm thinking about writing a book about the 1975 season at Shea Stadium. And I swear, I wish sounds like I made it up, but he kind of looked away. He goes, that season be the death of me. And I said, I got to write this book. And I ended up exchanging, and one of the, if not the best interview, was I got to call him the next day. We were on the phone for about an hour.
And look at the picture of Pete Flynn.
And that's the picture of Pete Flynn.
Great job by Tony Walker finding
Tony
that picture.
Walker. I'm a friend of Tony, for sure.
The hell with Peter.
I know he has a show too. I want to get on that show right before this one. That show has some interesting topics.
It's all right.
Different topics, though. Different topics. My parents can't watch that
they talk
show.
about some other subjects.
Yeah, my parents can't watch that show.
My kids are not allowed to watch that show.
I have to cut Tony's audience in half when it comes to my parents for that show. Pete Flynn, that's a young Pete Flynn, and actually not that young. It's the 80s because it has the Nobody Beats the Wiz. I mean, you could tell from the scoreboard ads, sometimes you have the Charles Chips, the Pergament, the things that are long gone.
See, like that, I love the old scoreboard at Shea Stadium, but I liked it when they had, before they did all the renovations on it, and they had the big square on the top, and it had the Met logo. And then when the Jets played there, they put the schmata over it, and it had the Jet logo on it.
And then when the Yankees played, they put the Yankee logo. And do you know what that was? And
did they have a giant logo for the Giants?
I think they did, but that was originally a very early Diamond Vision. It showed photos.
Wow.
It showed slides of the players. So when anybody came up to bat, Cleon Jones came up to bat, they would have a picture of Cleon Jones, but it broke. It never worked.
And then there were some times where the video screen, it would say like, "Let's go Mets XYJ 5K 1 2 3."
Yeah, that's not. And they didn't. And they weren't prepared for the American League, so it never had a DH symbol in the. But what's interesting about that, I'm pointing, but the fans can see it on TV. The very top, where you see the Mets logo there with the skyline, that's at Citi Field. That's at Citi Field. And what's great about that? Well, that's not great about that, but they, when after 9/11, they put a ribbon on that, and it's still there. And
I remember going to the workout when they were coming back to play after 9/11. I went to the. We're actually going to have a 9/11 show next Thursday and talk about it a little bit more. But I remember going to both the Yankees and the Mets workouts. It was just a.
Do you see a schedule for next year, by the way? Mets and Yankees.
On 9/11. Let's get to a couple more of your books before we get to the next break. So let's get.
Okay, this is my most recent.
This is the most recent one. This is New York Mets Firsts, and. You want me to move it this way? All right, there we go. Now we got it. I still have almost a year here in the studio, and I can't get used to where the camera angle is.
Listen, well, you don't have a bad angle.
Yeah, so it's a great book, New York Mets Firsts. Let's see how big of a Met fan Tony is.
Okay.
Because he claims he's a huge
We're going to challenge him?
Give me a first that's in this book and ask it like in the form of a question to Tony. And let's give him something that he can answer.
All right. This would be impressive if he can answer.
It's got to be in the book, though.
It's in the book.
It's in the book, yes.
It's not like I left stuff out of the book for a second edition. New York Mets seconds. Oh, we've had plenty of those, Tony.
Yeah.
Okay, so in 1966.
Oh boy.
The Mets had the first overall draft pick. They passed on somebody to take somebody else. Do you know who they passed on, and do you know who they drafted? And the person they passed on ends up to be a Hall of Famer. Do you know this?
66.
I think it was a Yankee.
He was.
So 66 could be Kuzman, could be Seaver.
No, the person it could be who right.
Yeah. Who they drafted. Yeah. Who they passed. It was a Yankee?
I'm going to give you a little bit more. The person they drafted never played in the majors.
Oh.
The person they passed on hit over 500 home runs.
Jeez.
It's a tough one. I'm giving him a tough one. I should have led with an easier one.
But I will say that it's typical Mets fashion.
100%.
Yeah, to get
100%.
people that before or after their prime.
He didn't start his career with the Yankees.
No.
Reggie Jackson.
Reggie Jackson is who they passed on.
okay.
They didn't like his makeup.
Sorry.
That's all right.
And they
Your show, baby.
No, but here's the good news. Here's the good news, Tony. They drafted Steve Chilcott, and you had the same number of major league home runs that Steve Chilcott had. So,
Good to know.
I appreciate that. You know, a lot of my research helped out by my boy EP.
You'll get this one easier. Who was the first Met to drive in 9 runs in a single game?
The first, Nimmo just recently did it. The first to do it.
The first Met to drive in 9 runs in a single game. And then we're going to go to break.
How long ago? It's got to be the 60s, right?
So this is 2008.
Oh.
And I will give you a hint. He did it against my team.
Yes.
At my team's stadium.
Was that the famous day-night doubleheader day? It might have been. I don't remember if that was the day-night.
There were a few
of them.
No,
but remember they played one at Shea and then one at Yankee?
Yeah, well, I went to a couple of those.
Was it Ventura?
No.
Not Zeal.
No.
I hate Zeal.
Where did that come from?
Piazza? No, it's not Piazza.
Carlos Delgado.
Oh, wow.
Carlos Delgado. And really quick, the other one that you brought in with you, too.
The other one I brought in with me was Mount Rushmore of the New York Mets by
Mount
decade.
Rushmore. By decade.
Because your Mount Rushmore might be different than Bradley's
Right.
Mount Rushmore.
Right, absolutely. Well, of course.
So I went through the decades, and what I wanted to do is just start arguments, start conversations. You know, all of these books I write, I never write a book that you read from cover to cover. You can open it in any chapter and just start digging in. They're meant to be fun, easy reads, and that you could have conversations with, you know, your friend, your brother, your sister, your mother.
So
your
the 80s are easy.
I thought unfortunately, none of them are that hard because the Mets haven't had that many great players.
Well, yeah, but listen, don't sell the Mets.
I am not selling them short, but
so Doc, Straw, Keith, and the Kid in the 1980s.
That's who I picked.
So let's go to the 2000s. Piazza, Beltran, Wright, and Reyes. Another good list.
Yeah.
Look, you can't.
I was able to get 4.
I love these discussions.
But luckily, Mount Rushmore doesn't have 10 heads on it because I would have had a problem.
And obviously it's a problem doing a Yankee Mount Rushmore.
You can't do a Yankee Mount Rushmore because you can't get out of the 60s.
Right. And
like Jeter has no chance. Mariano has no chance. Where do
Right.
you go after Ruth, Gehrig, Mantle, and DiMaggio?
Right. That's your 4.
That's your 4.
So you have to have it by different eras.
Well, that was the purpose of this
You could
book.
have an old Yankee era, and your modern era would have to be Jeter, Rivera, Mattingly, and Guidry.
Or Judge.
Well, I can't. It's not over with yet, so
No,
we'll see.
but right now you wouldn't put Judge ahead of Guidry. I know you love Guidry.
I love Guidry.
I know you do, but Judge is Judge. Even if, as a Met fan.
I know. He is.
He's
got to win a World Series. Got to win a World Series. Got to win a World Series.
Fair enough. I'm not going to happen this
All right,
year.
we have a lot more to do. We still haven't talked Islanders yet.
We
We're going to do that. We come back, and we got the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day, and then I've got some other shows to promote for the rest of this week and next week.
You do
So
you.
you're going to stick around.
Where am I going?
Use the bathroom.
I appreciate that.
Tony will let you, and then we'll come back with more Sports Bash right after this. Hi, I'm Peter Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention Sports Bash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage.
In 1982, the Marty Lyons Foundation began with a single heartfelt mission: to bring moments of joy and hope to critically ill children by granting wishes that make their dreams come true. Since that day, we have touched the lives of over 8,500 families, raising over $43 million to grant wishes that offer a beacon of light in their darkest times. These precious wishes cost an average of $6,700 each, and your support is crucial to our mission. Every donation, big or small, makes a difference. And with 76 cents of every dollar going directly to supporting our families, you can rest assured your support truly changes lives. The Marty Lyons Foundation operates 11 chapters in 14 states now, working tirelessly to reach as many children as we can. This dedication goes hand in hand with our commitment to transparency and accountability, earning us top ratings on Charity Navigator, Great Nonprofits, and Candid, which underscores our dedication to those we serve. The Marty Lyons Foundation grants wishes to children ages 3 to 17. And what really makes this foundation so special is our willingness to grant not only a first wish, but also consider a second wish to a child who continues to battle a life-threatening illness. We stand by these children, offering them hope and strength through the power of dreams, giving our children the courage to wish for more.
What's your purpose in life? Is your purpose in life to live in the big house and drive the nice car? No. Your purpose in this life is to make it a little bit better for those that follow and realize that we live for today to see a better tomorrow.
Visit MartyLyonsFoundation.org to learn more and get involved.
Welcome back to Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com and Ryan Anthony Heating and Air Conditioning Service. I'm Peter Schwartz. Welcome back to the show. It is an FOP Tuesday. Friend of Peter, Brett Topel, noted author, is my friend of Peter doing the show with me today. We've talked a lot about the Mets, but as I told Brett, I texted him this morning because I completely forgot to tell him, and he watches the show, so he should know this anyway. But we always come back from the last break with a Billy Joel song, and I pick, a song that, maybe, there's a story behind it why I picked it. But when we have an FOP, we ask the FOP, what's your favorite Billy Joel song? And your favorite Billy Joel song was "Summer in Highland Falls."
It was "Summer in Highland Falls," and one of the songs that he says, he never says "Summer" or "Highland" or "Falls" but he always wanted to have a song. I think he quoted once. I don't remember if he was talking about Springsteen or Dylan. He said they once had a song that the title wasn't in it, and I wanted to have one too. So,
and it was funny because a few years ago we were driving up to West Point when the New York Guardians of the second incarnation of the XFL had a practice at Army at West Point. And we were driving up there, and we passed through the town, and you see the sign that says Highland Falls, and I'm like, oh,
there you go.
There it is, "Summer in Highland Falls."
There's always a connection.
Yes, he never talks about it.
He
in the
never
show.
talks about it.
And we talked about this off the air, but you love, just as I did and Tony did, and so it goes. The Billy Joel documentary. On
Amazing.
HBO.
I just finished it like 2 nights ago. Amazing. What I was saying to you is that I don't understand how they had all that footage.
That was my wife's question too.
70s.
Like, where did this all come from?
It's amazing. I mean, it didn't seem like the 70s was an era where people were documenting things that well. And he wasn't certainly fancy schmancy in any way. So,
no.
But somebody had a video camera, or they were capturing it somehow. And I'd like to know that. I think that would be a kind of a cool segment of that. But yeah, it was amazing. The music's amazing. We all know that. The story's amazing. I thought it was really interesting. He talked about the history of Judaism in his family, which I had never heard him speak about.
No.
To the depth where he did about Germany and all that, and it was a little sad too, because I don't think the relationship with his father was anything he wanted it to be, and that was a shame, because I think they had that time to repair it and just didn't know how.
Yeah. But a big part of this documentary also is his perseverance through a lot of troubling times, and when he got robbed of all of his money and all that stuff, and
his ex-wife told him, "Don't hire my brother."
Yeah, and
he did.
Right. And so there was a time where people probably blamed his ex-wife on that happening, and she warned him not to do it. But the bottom line also now with Billy Joel is we just wish him the best of health and he can recover, and we'd love to at least see one more concert to say goodbye.
Of course, yeah.
I know you wanted to go to the City Field concert.
I had tickets to the City Field concert he was going to do with Sting this past summer. I think what I really found interesting about the documentary, Peter, I don't know how you felt about it, is I did not know that the critics basically trashed him his whole career.
Oh, yeah.
And it was only in recent years where they decided he was a gift from God, you know?
And the amazing thing about, well, that's true. Yes, he did have a lot of critics. What's amazing to me, and I guess maybe my wife and I did a really good job raising our kids, is the different groups of ages.
Oh, crazy!
If you went to a Billy Joel concert, look, we went to the New Year's Eve concert, the last one at UBS Arena. You just look at the cross section of ages at a Billy Joel concert. Mm-hmm. I mean, you've got people in their 80s, their 70s, their 60s, and my kids are 19 and 15, and they love Billy Joel.
And if you're in your 30s or younger, other than one song he released last year, he hasn't had a new song or a new album. So it's not like he's putting out new material. It's just the stuff is so good.
Did you like the new song?
I actually did like the new song.
I did like the new
song.
But I
don't know
There's
if I
actually a backstory as to why he doesn't play it anymore, but we can't get into
I don't
that
know
right
if I like the new song as much as I like the fact that there was a new song.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, a new Billy Joel song. I kind of felt that way about the new Beatles song too, and then you realize that all right, this one's auto-tuned a lot. Again, John Lennon's been dead for 40 years, so
I turn the lights back on was the name of the song.
Yeah.
I remember listening to it for
he
the
doesn't
first
play
time.
it anymore.
He doesn't play it. Yeah, there's an issue, and he doesn't play it anymore.
Fair
but
enough.
I've been sworn to secrecy on the story back there. I cannot say what happened, but no, he does
as
not.
a friend of Peter, I wouldn't ask you to.
No, I can tell you off
story.
the air.
I appreciate that.
I'll tell you off the air.
Appreciate
but
that.
Yeah, you can't. We're not allowed to discuss
Understood.
it. Before I forget, it's time for your event calendar brought to you by TicketBash.com. Starting on September 5th, the Yankees start their 3-game series against the Blue Jays, also playing on the 6th and the 7th. Week 1 of the NFL is here. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that a little bit later on. The Jets hosting the Steelers Sunday the 7th at MetLife Stadium as they welcome back their good friend Aaron Rodgers to the Meadowlands. You can grab tickets to all these events and more at TicketBash.com. They've got no service fees and the best prices around. We've talked a lot of baseball with Brett Topel, our friend of Peter, for the day, but what you may not know about Brett is that he spent a season working for the New York Islanders, and we could talk all the baseball and football and everything else, but the Islanders are my favorite sports team, and if you watch the show and you've heard me on other platforms, FAN, whatever it is, you know how much the Islanders mean to me. I know Brett's a big Islander fan as well, and you had a chance to work for the Islanders for a year.
I did. I worked for them in the 08-09 season.
And that's where we first met.
I think that is where we first met, right?
Yeah.
That was a long time ago.
A long time
almost
ago.
20 years. Go on to 20 years.
Yeah, that's why you're an FOP.
I appreciate it. and because I begged.
Yeah.
Here's the things I remember. I'll tell you about that season. So my first order of business, I was hired right before training camp, right after Ted Nolan had resigned, and they hired Scott Gordon as coach. I got to go to training camp in Moncton, New Brunswick. I didn't even know they spoke French in Moncton. I thought it was only Quebec, but got to experience Tim Hortons for the first time. Got to go to training camp.
Great. We were so excited when one opened up in Wantagh last year.
Training camp. Now they're at every gas station.
Yeah. That's where it is. It's the gas station right by MacArthur High School.
I'll take $20 unleaded and a glazed. So I did training camp, and then I was there for the entire 08-09 season, which I will say that for whatever reason, the Islanders had a bunch of Saturday night games that season, and every single one of them there was a blizzard. I can't even throughout the winter months, because we used to have to stay until, as employees, I was up in the press box, and I stayed until all the fans were gone. I used to have to try to just picture the Nassau Coliseum parking lot full of snow and no people.
Oh yeah.
But I got to do some cool things. Josh Bailey was a rookie. And I'll never forget how kind he was to my young son at the time. Wrote him a bunch of different autographs, been in pictures. And Josh Bailey, I was so happy that had such a long career.
Yeah,
and
he'll be in the Islanders Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and ended up being a really, really important person. And do you want me to talk about the last thing I did there? Or are you going to leave
last thing? Well, the person you spoke to really irritated my younger son Jared when he decided to leave. So you can tell everybody.
Yeah.
About that.
So I was leaving the Islanders, but I had one more assignment or one more thing I had to do, and I was fortunate enough to go to the draft, to the NHL draft in
Montreal.
It was the Bell Center at the time.
Yes.
I don't know if it still is the Bell Center.
Centre de Bell.
Centre de Bell. Centre de Bell. And I had the opportunity 10 minutes after he was drafted to have a one-on-one interview with John Tavares in the bowels of the stadium.
Or as we like to say now, the former captain.
The former captain.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, there's a picture of me somewhere I have of me interviewing him, and it's one of the Islander photographers took it of me interviewing him, and I'm holding, remember those little cassette recorders?
Yeah.
But I'm holding two.
Two of them.
I'm holding two of them because I couldn't trust that one would work. So I was holding two, and I will say he was, I mean, literally, he had just gotten drafted. And if you remember, I know you do remember, there's no ifs with you and the Islanders, nobody knew who they were picking. They didn't know if they were going to take. Duchesne was there.
No. Hold on one second. Garth Snow pulled the fastest one on everybody,
including me,
by creating all this nonsensical drama. Oh, we don't know who we're going to pick. Everybody knew they were going to pick.
We figured he was going to.
But
Hedman was good though.
Yes, but I will say this: he created enough drama that 10,000 people, including myself, and my wife, and our older son Bradley at the time was little, all went to the draft party at the Coliseum, and there was this fear, like he wouldn't dare not take Tavares, right? And of course, the sense of relief when they picked him, and all the confetti is flying all over the place.
Do you remember that Newsday tweeted out the wrong name originally? They said that they took Duchesne.
No, I don't remember
30
that.
seconds before they took the pass. I'm not going to say the writer's name, but it was the beat writer for the Islanders. So.
No, that's not good.
No, wasn't good.
That's not good.
No, it wasn't good. Because that came back to us in Montreal. We were like, what? He was in Montreal, the guy, and he tweeted the wrong thing. Bad tip.
We have to get to the Coach's Collectibles item of the week.
Of course we do.
Because we have to pay some bills here on the show.
Let's pay them.
Coach's Collectibles.
Do I have to pay now also to be here? Or
no, unless you want to buy the item of the week.
Tony, maybe I will.
Coach's Collectibles, your number one source for 100% authentic sports memorabilia and live public autograph events. Check them out online at coachescollectiblesny.com. It is, with the Jets starting on Sunday, a beautiful, boy, would I love to add this to my home. I just don't know where I'd put it. My wife would probably ask the same question. A beautiful, full-size Jets helmet autographed by Justin Fields.
Wow.
How beautiful.
Yeah, but at this point, if your wife lets you in the house, and she'll let you have anything. I mean, you have 8 million billion things in your house.
A million bobbleheads.
What's one more helmet going to do?
Yeah, but there's just no... If it was a mini helmet, we probably could squeeze it in somewhere. I just don't know where we'd fit the full-size helmet.
Maybe under the Shea Stadium bathroom sign.
Well, that was an off-air conversation. It would take up
that was an off-air conversation.
Yeah, no. Well, if Dom at Coach's Collectibles wanted to send me one of these,
that would be nice.
I'm sure I would be able to find
He would be
it.
a friend of Peter.
Well, he already is.
Oh, well,
yeah,
but he'd be in this chair.
Yeah. But yes, he's already a friend of Peter because he's a sponsor of the show.
Fair enough.
It's time for the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day. We post a poll question every Tuesday and Thursday on the Sports Bash Media X/Twitter page. Would it be a good thing if the Yankees and Mets were in the same division? They're talking about switching things up a little bit, and Rob Manfred, the commissioner of baseball, is not making many friends with this. Let me ask you: would you like?
I don't need realignment. I'd take schedule realignment. Go back to playing the teams in your division 19 times a year. Yeah. I don't need to play the Twins twice every year.
I don't need to see the Yankees and Mets play 18 times. I think it's too much. No. Tony, you agree with that? Agree. Yeah. Let's keep it to next year. They're going to play 6 games. They're going to play two 3-game series. The 4th annual Marty Lyons Foundation Gala is on Thursday, November 13th at the Bourne Mansion in Oakdale. For more information, go to martylyonsfoundation.org. Tomorrow at 5 o'clock, we have a special NFL preview edition of Sports Bash. I'm going to be joined by former Jets tight end and current radio analyst Anthony Becht, who's been on the show before, and another returning guest. In fact, this guy was on the test show that was done here at Governor's almost a year ago. Charles Davis, NFL on CBS NFL analyst. He'll join us on the program tomorrow as well. Now, Thursday, we're going to be on at a special time of 3 o'clock. That's because, like, WFAN asked me to come into work on Thursday morning, so I called Tony up and say, hey, instead of 1, can I do 3? And he said, sure, absolutely. So we love Tony for that.
That's
so 3 o'clock.
That's how Tony rolls.
3 o'clock on Thursday. I'll be joined by Stony Brook head football coach Billy Kosh. The Seawolves play their home opener on Saturday against Rhode Island at Laval Stadium. Kickoff's at 6. Sports Bash is giving away 5 pairs of tickets for the game. Just go to my socials and Sports Bash Media socials. Find the post about Stony Brook, and you can enter to win. Next Tuesday, September 9th, I may have to wear another Yankees shirt again next Tuesday because I'll be joined by former Yankees pitcher Jabba Chamberlain. That's next Tuesday. Next Thursday is September 11th, and we all know what kind of a day that is, especially here in the New York area. We'll take a look back at sports in New York and New Jersey on 9/11 and the weeks and months that followed. We're working on getting a player who played on one of the local sports teams, or at least one of them, maybe two, on the show. That brings us to the end. And look, I love doing this show every single minute I spend on it. But when I can bring in a friend for an hour, it's one thing to hear me talk for an hour, and most people don't want to hear me talk by myself for an hour. So it's always nice to have someone. And Tony is always here to save me every now and then when he's not having lunch during the show, which is quite awesome.
I think it might have been an American cheese sandwich on white bread. I'm not sure about
Was
that. Peanut butter on white bread.
Oh, peanut butter. Okay,
close.
There you go. But we had Brett Topel, author of so many books about the Mets, and my personal favorite, When Shea Was Home. My friend, I can't thank you enough for coming
so much.
in,
Really
spending
appreciate
the hour. It was great.
It was a lot of fun. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Tony.
And,
Thank
and
you,
if
Peter.
you keep begging, we'll do this again.
Well, I was going to say, do I? Okay, I'll keep begging.
Once you now, we've kind of set the
I don't have to be a
precedent.
friend of Peter now. Now I can just come on as a guest, maybe.
You can get on as just a guest. Yes, absolutely. If you have the next book you write, you'll just come on as a guest.
So I have to write another book, is what you're saying.
I would like you to write another book.
Okay,
yes.
that's okay. It's a big commitment to make. It's a big commitment right now, but I do have some things in my mind.
But
so.
what we've done is very dangerous. Because you asked to come on. Now my friend Robert in Baltimore, my best friend, who has been asking to come on, but he doesn't really meet the criteria because he does not work in the sports
Plus,
media.
he's probably not going to overdress like me.
But he also would have to get into his car and drive here from Baltimore.
I drove from Brooklyn.
Yeah, but that's kind of
Could be
based on Baltimore.
just as dicey.
And he never drives anywhere for anything. So I'm not going to have him on as an FOP over Zoom. He literally have to get his ass into a car and drive to Long Island.
Are we getting bleeped by the FCC because you said ass? Oh,
No, you could say whatever you want on the show. In fact,
I would never.
Tony has been trying to get me to
I watched Tony's show.
every now and then, because Tony has loosened me up a little bit, right, Tony? Every now and then, the S to the F word comes out.
Oh. Well, you're here, governor. You're here, beautiful governors. So
yeah, well, it depends on what game I watched the night before, and you know what? Depending on what the Jets do on Sunday, if you want to tune in next Tuesday and hear what I have to say about that, you may hear the expletives fly. That will do it for today's edition of Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com and Ryan Anthony's Heating and Air Conditioning Service. Thanks to my FOP co-host Brett Topel. Thanks to Tony Walker and everyone here at Governors, and thanks to our social media coordinator Connor Kalb. Sports Bash is sponsored by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage, Coaches Collectibles, and by the Marty Lyons Foundation. Thanks to everyone for watching and listening. Sports Bash back tomorrow with our NFL preview at 5, then again Thursday at a special time of